Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is a Coffee Connect, a very technology challenged Coffee Connect, but a Coffee Connect nonetheless. Oh, today it's Water Connect because I finished my coffee already. Um, One sec, I just have to make sure this goes public on my page. But while I'm doing that, if you are inspired by my content, please make sure you subscribe and save the videos and all that good stuff. Okay. So about every Wednesday, I plan to do this minimum. And let's start on a good note. I'm still making sure this actually is public, which it wasn't. So I appreciate your patience. It will get back to flowy once I do these a little bit longer. And today at noon on TikTok, I will be doing a Tarot and Tones live where I'll be doing little readings and healings online. So if you are interested in that, you can see that on TikTok. As we open the door to communication and healing, in the unity of the Holy Spirit, the gradient presence of the universe, we give thanks for we know the words spoken and the experience received is full of your grace, truth, wisdom, love, and understanding of the highest. And let's just do 3 quick breaths to sync up the mind, the heart, the body, and then bringing them all together because all worlds are within each other. Breathing in, breathing out. Letting go of anything dense, heavy, or stagnant, letting it flow out of your body, out of your being, and deep into the earth. Turning your awareness from the third eye down to the heart, breathing in, breathing out. And again, letting anything from the heart space that's dense, heavy, or stagnant, that has only worked for you but not really served you, allow it to effortlessly flow out of your body, out of your being, deep into the earth. And now letting your awareness go from the heart down to the navel, into the body. Doing a final breath. Well, no, it's going to be 2 more breaths. But doing this breath to allow the body and the earth to come into resonance with one another, realizing that you are one and the same. How you treat her reflects how you treat yourself and how you hold yourself in regard. So breathing in, breathing out. Allowing anything dense, heavy, or stagnant that stops you from treating her with the regard that you should treat her. You're treating yourself with the self-respect and regard and self-love you should treat yourself. Letting anything that stops that flow out of your body, out of your being, deep into the earth. And then a final breath, bringing 3 together, the Yat Chai, the Munai, the Lankai. Breathing in. And breathing out. Everything that stops you from being in congruency, body, being, and beyond, and in alignment, thought, word, and deed, allowed to effortlessly flow out of the body, out of the being, deep into the earth. With that, good morning, everyone. My name is Hank Suttler. I'm the Sonic Shaman, hence all the noisemakers. And I used to do these all the time. If you go to my website under live streams, if you go to the YouTube channel, there's a whole bunch of past Coffee Connects and interviews and all kinds of things. But this is just my opportunity to come on and see what's going on in your world and offer any tools, guidance, anything at all. There's nothing off limits. But it's really a time just to see what is the energy of the moment. And it's a great note, a great way to start the day to do 4 breaths. 1 for each of the main centers and 1 to bring them all together. Because what if all of creation is within you? One of my favorite quotes from Neil Donald Walsh. I knew I got this book for a reason. Not the reason I thought it was going to be. Neil Donald Walsh is one of my favorite authors. And he has this one like out-of-body experience he talks about in his workshops where he comes in and he's like in this room and it's like nothing else is in it. And in this moment, like he's like aware of everything and all that. And he just hears a voice, "You're the only one in the room." Right? And what if you are the only one in the room? And so am I. The greatest truths of this world are paradoxes. We're all one, true. We're all separate, also true. So 1 is a one-ality truth, 1 is a duality truth. And so as I mentioned that, what I'm really asking for you to do is, I lost my train of thought. I have no idea where I was going with that. But know that all truths are paradoxes. Like birds of a feather flock together, opposites attract. One's a one-ality truth, one's a duality truth, and that's why we go crazy, because one of the universal laws might work for us in like the duality way in one area of our lives, and in another area it's the one-ality way, and it's very confusing. And so it's like this balancing act of all kinds of gradients and all kinds of fun things like that. So anyway, that's a little bit about that. How is everyone this morning? I see Judy saying good morning. Good morning, Judy. And let me know if you have anything on your mind, any questions, or I will just kind of be random for a little bit. And then, actually, you know what? I don't want to touch anything. Like I'm late streaming because I touched my computer camera to move it just like an inch over, and then it lost connection and I couldn't get it back. So I do have my iPad set up that if I lose anything with my computer, I can switch over and have a backup stream just in case. But while you guys are thinking if there's anything, let me tell you what is coming up. A few things. Always on the fourth Friday and Saturday, I do a ceremony and sound and a shadow work journey circle, and you can find out that about my website. But new things you might not know about: we have a cacao ceremony coming up with myself and my friend Cricket, and we're going to be doing. It's going to be like the cacao is the star of the show, though we are going to have a little bit of sound with some prompts and journaling and things like that. So it's really going to be a heart centering experience, and that is going to be on February 16th. And then we also have, I'm doing this healing clinic now at Goddess Elite. I might be changing the day, but it's supposed to be the first Tuesday every month. And you can go to Goddess Elite's website, or there's a link on my website to go and sign up for that. But that is 100% by donation. So you can do that. And then next month, March 5th, I'm doing an online only Colorworks and sound. So you can sign up for that. And what it is going to be me using Patty Conklin's Colorworks process for different themes in your life combined with supporting sound. And that's something that you can do as well. And then today at noon, but only on TikTok, we have Tarot and Tones live. So that will be me doing little mini readings and mini healings and all kinds of fun stuff like that. But I only do that on TikTok. Good morning, Christine. Oh, I'm trying to think, where do I know Christine? The name sounds really familiar. She knows me as a Paco. So good morning, I assume Paco Christine. And remind me where I know you from. And then we have Magic Mike. I haven't seen you in forever, man. Nice to know you're still out there. Yeah, so there's no set plan for Coffee Connects. They might take more of a form of having a plan as time progresses. Ricky's group. Oh, yes. Hello. Very good. Very glad to see you here. And then and you were just virtual, right? That one day we did the despacho, if I remember right. Am I thinking the right Christine? That's really cool. Thank you for tuning in. And let's see. Judy spent her morning managing trash in the kitchen. Somehow it feels like a metaphor. Yeah. These are the first two of the mirror and non-mirror solfeggio sets. So just getting the little tones going while we are doing that. And this would be balancing. Well, depending which belief system you use in tuning forks, either this set doesn't exist, these forks don't exist, or this is doing like the Earth Star chakra, the one below the root. While we are talking, you can just kind of let that balance out. Well, it's really good to see you, virtually speaking. And I will be doing, well, if you didn't know, Zane is doing like a 2-week intro class that starts in the 24th of February. I'm going to send out an email about that in the near future. But I mean, you've been working with Ricky, but if you wanted to get a little bit more Zane, that's something coming up, as well as the apprenticeship. This would be for the root, or doesn't exist, depending which system you use. There's the guy who really pushed solfeggio forks, he says there's only 6 and then used all 6 together for the 7th. I say there's 9. So depending if you go with the 6 method or the 9 method, they all line up differently. So, but 9 makes a lot more sense to me. And like a chakra set's 9, but that one's planet based. This is numerology based. So I'm letting that root chakra balance and sync up a little bit. Mm-hmm. You know, and when Judy's saying that taking care of the trash in the kitchen is a metaphor, really, like taking care of the trash in your house, and like your body is your house, taking care of the trash, that is what it's about. We call it cleaning house in AA. This would be for sacral. How has the apprenticeship been going for you, Christine? All good? What's your favorite part that you've learned, if you don't mind sharing? Would be solar plexus next. Oh, Jennifer's very excited. Coffee Connect, yes, good morning. And I might do these more often, but I'm definitely going to do them on Wednesdays because it works out well. I think today's Wednesday. Yes, today's Wednesday. So we'll get a double dose of streaming today, once here and then once on TikTok at noon, if you're interested in catching that. And then for that one, I'll have my little backdrop for the tarot cards and all that good stuff too. Heart. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I'm looking at the right camera. Just feel off center, which is fine. I can tell you my favorite part about working with Zane. What would it be? In terms of first time impressions, the Death Rites was like my first time impression, my favorite thing. But now that I've like been around the block and gone through a whole bunch of things, and I think it's something simple like just the opening, you know? Like sometimes there's just a magical thing of just opening sacred space and closing sacred space. And it's really in that moment you've acknowledged all the spirits and you're just being there with them. And there's no agenda at that point. You're just being. And then after that, it all goes to agenda. Like, what are we going to do? And what are we going to learn? And what are we going to this and that? And that's more mental. So I think the opening, maybe that was my favorite from the beginning because it was my first Pachamama that really sold me on wanting to learn the Paco Kuna tradition of Peru from Zane. I've lost track where I'm at. This would be third eye crown, and yeah, soul purpose is next after that. Christine's been doing musical training, musical toning and breath work. Apprenticeship is amazing, connecting to the work and doing sacred space work. Zane and Tony are doing SOAR is a continuation. Very good. And on Thursdays, Melissa and I stream as well. I don't know. I haven't caught the SOAR thing yet, so I don't know what all they're doing on there, but I'm sure it is good. And let's do crown next. I guess today's a little bit of balancing. And we'll get real fun here in a second, but first we'll do soul purpose. And in many traditions, not just the Paco Kuna tradition, the belief is that you have like a star of inspiration. I don't think it's a coincidence. They call the chakra above the crown soul purpose or soul star. Soul star and soul purpose are two different things. It's one's below and one's above and whatnot, as opposed to below, right? But the belief is even identical twins would have a different star. And it is the part of you that's never left creator, that's never left heaven, that is fully actualized. And in a sense, it's like you leading you to you. And so why not just take a moment to settle in and really connect with that part of you. That part of you that is outside of you in this physical universe, and the part of you that is inside of you. The little spark of divinity where we're all one, then it goes through the prism of your consciousness and your ego and all that. And we will now we'll get really fun. I will be sad when I try to put these back because I'm going to be noisy or awkward, but it cannot be helped because it's what I want to do. Whoops. So there was just a little whole being balancing, I would call it. Because you're more than your chakras, you're more than your body, you're more than your dimensionality. What you are goes beyond words, and as soon as you define it, you expand again that, and you're something that you cannot explain. So just be. That's the moral of the story. We like trying to figure things out because we're such mental creatures, especially here in the West, the States, and all that. Oh, does anybody have any questions or just inspirations that we could talk about? We're at 15 minutes. I'm in the not this day. I will probably try to keep these to more 15 to 30 minutes, but we'll see how today goes. Mhm. Sipping from all spirit containers. That is a very good thing. Like a little taste of everything. When I first kind of started on my journey, I took everything that I could. I went to Fellowships of the Spirit in Illidale, and that was like a 2-year course that was like my foundation. But then in between those monthly classes, I took everything from aromatherapy to sound healing, obviously, to past life regression hypnotherapy, NLP, EFT, all kinds of acronyms. uh, what else? What was my favorite thing? Oh, medical intuition with Patty Conklin, and she's the one who has the whole ColorWorks process, which is one thing I'm teaching at. And then the other thing I thought about doing this month, inspired by Judy actually, because she was working with a lot of affirmations, is like an affirmation slash affirmation circle, where it would be like depending on the theme of the group, using sound healing to support it, but like saying the affirmations over and over again, and the difference being an affirmation is like I am a divine being. An affirmation, you pose it as a question. How is it that I love that I always have all my needs met when I need them met? And when you ask a question, it lights up the brain differently with like topographical brain mapping, and it's just more effective. And then I saw like an article yesterday that someone sent me that this guy has registered trademarked it, and I've been talking about this affirmation thing for like over a decade. It was like somebody who was in my original Conversations with God discussion group. She used the affirmations all the time. She talked about them and said about science, but maybe it was called something different. And I've been using it for over a year, 10 years. And then I saw it got like registered trademarked. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm gonna have to call it something else. I thought it was like a regular word, but it doesn't exist anywhere else. And I was shocked. Yeah. Love the difference between affirmation and affirmation. It really makes a difference. And you want to avoid whys, or not avoid, be mindful of whys, because there's two ways whys can work. One way is it loops you in a never ending circle. Like, why does my life always turn out this way? Why does this happen? Why does that happen? And the universe says, oh, here you go. Here's another example of why that happens. And the same thing perpetuates over and over. Like you just go in a loop. So like when you say why, what you're really looking for is the energy of what's underneath that. What has caused this to come to be? And I would just ask it without using the word why. But that's essentially what you're asking. Like what choices am I making, consciously or unconsciously, that allows this cycle to perpetuate? There's a lot more context in that question than just going, why does this happen? Here's another reason. So just be mindful of whys if you're going to put those in there. Hello, everybody. I see more people joining us. If you have questions, this is List Coffee Connect. There's no agenda. It's just to connect with you. I mentioned some of the events that I'll be doing in the next week, over the month or whatnot. And I actually updated my website now. So if you go to hanksuttala.com and go under classes, it actually gives a list in the submenu, everything coming up. Almost everything. I didn't add everything yet. I have more things to put on there. But I got tired of working my website, so I did other stuff. But it's a miracle I did how much I did, because if you've gone to my site, you will know that I'm very bad about updating it. So it's pretty cool that you can actually go to my site and find stuff now. Let's see, what's a good affirmation? My mind's blank. Well, in a way, what would it take for you to be the energy of what you want your affirmation or your affirmation to generate? Because when you're thinking, Yeah, it's a very mental thing. It's like the mental plane. And what you're really looking for is creating something from the spirit level down that transcends language. So if I look at some other things that I know about, what you would really want to do is like read your affirmation or your affirmation and then picture your life. What does my life feel like when this concept is fully actualized in my experience? And let your whole body and aura crackle. What Because what you're really doing is you're allowing yourself to settle in this moment to the effect of all this stuff being true, and just letting that energy pulse within you, and then that's going out into the universe, and it's going to help create like a resonance and for it to create that. So like affirmations, they're really good. They're really mental, and if you wanted to bring a spiritual component to it, then like settle in and just let your energy vibe with what would it feel like if I fully experienced the energy of what the intention behind saying this is. Hope that helps. Am I back? I think I'm back. Sorry guys, I was like majorly buffering. Or I thought I was, and you see me just saying buffering, buffering. Looks like their internet is very slow here. Oh my gosh. What can I do about that? Not much. It's not my internet. Maybe I can turn my hotspot on. Right now, is it better? Can you guys like? I'm not spinning or pixelating or anything. Well, if it happens again, I will turn that on. Mhm. Definitely helps. Jack Canfield has a program that did those teachings. Oh, the affirmations. I don't think that is Jack Canfield, the guy who I saw had it registered. I don't know. I was just assumed it was like a regular word in English. But if he has a whole teaching program, I really resonate with that whole thing. Let's see, what does Neil have to say about anything? He's my favorite author. Well, that was the other thing. I am going to start. I want to bring that up. Well, I didn't save the graphic, so I guess I'm not going to bring that up now. But real quick, if you have just tuned in, what's coming up that I most want you to know about: February 16th cacao ceremony with Cricket and myself. On the first Thursday-ish of every month, I'll be doing a healing clinic out of Goddess Elite, which is healing, like 15-minute healings for a donation. Today I have tarot and tones on TikTok, and then March 5th, the Tuesday, first Tuesday of March, I'm going to do an online color works and sounds. So we will be doing a technique to help move cellular memory in your body out, and support that with sound like gongs and crystal bowls and stuff like that. That will be on Zoom, so you can consider that. But if for those of you who are new to me, like in 2008, I decided to take a class called the Life Skills class. And that was something from Neil Donald Walsh. It was a 12-month program, and every week you had a call, and you had like a group. And so you had a mentor, and you had to do papers every month on different concepts from conversations with God. And I thought, okay, after I take this, then I'll be ready to start a group. And I started that in January of 2008. And in March, Neil was teaching a workshop in Baltimore, and so I got on a Greyhound bus, first time and last time probably I ever rode a Greyhound bus. And I went to Baltimore for this workshop. I flew home, by the way. And it was quite an experience. And I'm sure it's not the typical experience, but I had quite an experience on the bus, which is a conversation for a different day. But I go and I'm in line to get my book signed. I don't know, is this my signed one? I have two copies of this. One's signed, one's not. One's at home. And he's signing my books, and I'm talking to him about how I'm in the life skills class, and that after I'm done with the 12 months of stuff, then I'll be ready to start my group. And without missing a beat, he's just like, if not you, who? If not now, when? And I came home and I started my first group the next month in April. And I have been doing that ever since, and I'm planning to do that again in the near future because I during COVID I kind of lost my drive for it a little bit. But I had ran it for over 10 years. Every single month would have a discussion on this work. And this work gave, like Neil, he was raised, I don't know if he was raised Catholic or just Christian, but he had um, the more traditional Christian upbringing and was very angry at God. And if you don't know his story, he basically, his wife was divorcing him. He broke his neck. He stole his own tent out of his garage and was living out of like a homeless camp where he was collecting like bottles and cans and things just to pay his rent every month. And he finally got enough money together to get a little apartment, and he also finally got a part-time job as like a radio DJ or something like that. I forget the exact story. And so he finally gets out of the homeless camp, and like one day he goes to work, and there's just a sign that the radio had gone bankrupt, so now he has no money again. He's looking at having to lose his apartment, and he goes home and he gets out a legal pad and he writes a scathing letter to God, where is this how life really is supposed to work? And writes all this stuff. And I've heard him tell the story differently 2 times, but the one that I appreciate the most was the very first time he actually heard an audible voice saying, "Do you really want to know the answer to these questions, or are you just venting?" And if there's answer to these questions, I sure as hell would like to know. And then the voice, "Wouldn't you rather be as sure as heaven?" And it started being this dialogue going back and forth where he would ask a question and he would get an answer. And that's what these books are. And if you were to pick one up, the trilogy has God's talking in blue and Neil's talking in black. And you can tell that he just, it's very different vibes when you go back and forth between the two. And what I found was interesting is when I saw him in when I saw him in Baltimore, there was somebody in the class who I forget exactly what the question. It had to do with the sun and how hot it was, and the difference between conceptually knowing how hot the sun it was and being as hot as the sun. And however the person was asking, Neil was taking it as being challenged. He got really upset and angry. And he's talked about it in past times where, like, he's even said, he's like, at the beginning, I channeled the stuff. It came through me. He's like, I didn't understand it all myself, and I've seen a shift in his presentations from then until recently, even of like really more walking the walk. And he even calls the angry version of him airport guy, because one of his partners at the time when he was at an airport, he got really angry because their flight got canceled, and she's like, oh my gosh. And he's like, oh yeah, that's airport guy. She's like, I don't want to see airport guy. But my point being, this is somebody who had like the worst of the worst things going on in their life and transcended from it, all from getting still, getting quiet, and listening. And more than that, he asked a question, because we started by talking with affirmations. He asked a question. He didn't say why. He said, is this how life is really supposed to work? It's a very specific question. And then in that moment, he wasn't fragmented till the next day or the day before. What had happened to prompt him to be in that moment. But in that moment, he was fully present, chewing God out. And then he was fully present to receive an answer. The thing went on. He's like, well, why don't you talk to everyone? And God says, well, I do talk to everyone. I talk to people all the time. It's not a question of who I talk to. It's a question of who listens. So know that star that we started talking about when, as above, so below, getting in touch with that part of you that's in the divine. It's really starting to bring that in and listening to your own guidance, because it's you leading you to you, co-creating with the spirit of the universe, because you are the only one in the room. That was kind of how we got on this topic, because Neil had this out of body experience later after he started writing all this stuff, and had that awareness that you are the only one in the room, and so am I. Both things are true. So like it really changes how you relate to the world if you really embrace that concept. Namaste. May the God in me greet the God in thee for the highest good. So there's that. And Christine says, I love this story. Listening is the key to what I've been going through. Yeah. And just being still. I'll share, if you have questions or comments, now's the time, because when I share this, I'll probably wrap pretty quickly. But it's really important when we say listening. the thing that I like to think about is meditation. And meditation is something you start as a practice, but it becomes like your normal state in some ways. In fact, that's one of my favorite passages in the book, and maybe I'll finish at the very end reading that again. It's my one of my favorite passages about daily meditation, and I found it, so I have it ready. But my teacher, Mark Thomas, who is one of the people at Fellowships of the Spirit in Lilydale, that's the 2 year program I went to. They brought him in to teach us meditation, and he taught it as part of the 2 year program. Then he also taught like a 4 weekend thing that I took, which was probably one of the single most life changing things in my life. Like 4 in person weekends, including a silent retreat weekend, and it's oh wow. Okay, so now I see how all those stories are going to be coming together here. Okay, so anyway, not to get ahead of myself, meditation is like you are a cloth, and when you meditate, you get dyed, and say it's red dye or whatever color, doesn't matter. And then you go out into the waking world, and the sun bleaches the cloth. The more often you go and you meditate, the color stays more and more and more in the waking world because you have repeated the process. So, like when you start the process and you don't feel a lot of benefit, recognize at the very beginning it gets bleached out quickly. And it's a longer discipline that allows those effects to stay and stay and stay. And the other analogy that Mark gave that I love is this analogy of a movie screen. And he used this to teach kids meditation a lot of times. And when you go to a movie, well, now you go to the movie, and as soon as you sit down, they're already running stuff. Like there's never a moment where there's nothing on there. They're always trying to sell you something and get you to go buy popcorn. But before, when I first started going to movies when I was a kid, you would go and the screen would be white. There would be nothing playing. There wouldn't be, yeah, they had things play before the movie, but it wasn't as many as they have now. And the screen was white. And he would say that the screen represents the silence, right? The screen is the stillness that lies underneath it all, underneath the illusion that we perceive. And when the movie starts, whatever you're looking at, whether it's The Matrix or another action show or tearjerker or whatever, what color is the screen? It's still white. It appears a different color because it's being projected on, but it's still white. The silence is ever present, even in the midst of chaos. Okay. And that reminded me of when I was in a silent retreat weekend. One of the biggest moments of my meditation experiences, I had a lot of spirit guides at the time, and I had names for them and talked to them and all this stuff. And in the final morning of the silent retreat meditation, in my mind's eye, I see all my guides and I see them all merge into a single orb. And it's like a smoky, like if you've ever gone to a bar or a campfire with like the light going through the campfire, like a flashlight going through the campfire, you see that. And I see that the orb that was my spirit guides is being projected from me. And then I hear a voice, "You're the only one in the room." And ever since that, I still have experience with guides, but it's really different. It's almost as though it takes form of however I need to receive the information at the time. But anyway, so that's my little story about meditation from Mark Thomas. Questions, comments, anything? Thanks for sticking around. Like a lot of the people watching are still watching through the whole thing. I will read the final quote. I'll give a minute if there's anything else that actually, I'll read this little part from chapter 10, and then I'll read the meditation one if there's any final comments. Chapter 10 is only 1 page long, and this is from book 3. And Neil says to God, "I love you. Do you know that?" And God replies, "Yes, and I love you. Do you know that?" And Neil says, "I'm starting to. I'm really starting to." God says, "Good." That was the end of the chapter. How often do we tell God we love him? Just curious. Pachamama. But in conclusion, this is on the final page of chapter 9, book 3, page 552 if you ever end up getting the big book, which I recommend getting the larger one because you get all 3 of the original trilogy and there's one index, so you can look things up easily. But Neil asks, so daily meditation is a good idea? To which God replies, a good idea, yes. Yet know again what I have just said here. The song of the soul may be sung many ways. The sweet sound of silence may be heard many times. Some hear the silence in prayer, some sing the song in their work, some seek the secrets in quiet contemplation, and others in less contemplative surroundings. When mastery is reached, or even intermittently experienced, the noises of the world can be muffled, the distractions quieted, even in the midst of them. All of life becomes a meditation. All of life is a meditation in which you are contemplating the divine. This is called true wakefulness or mindfulness. Experienced in this way, everything in life is blessed. There is struggle and pain and worry no more. There is only experience which you may choose to label in any way you wish. You may choose to label it all as perfection. So use your life as a meditation and all the events in it. Walk in wakefulness, not as one asleep. Move with mindfulness, not mindlessly. And do not tarry in doubt and fear, neither in guilt nor self recrimination, yet reside in permanent splendor in the assurance that you are grandly loved. You are always one with me. You are forever welcome, welcome home. For my home is in for your home is in my heart, and mine in yours. I invite you to see this in life as you will surely see it in death. Then you will know there is no death, and what you have called life and death are both part of the same unending experience. We are all that is, all that was, and all that ever will be, world without end. Amen. So, final breath. Just centering. And if my words have stirred things and resonated knowings in you today, whatever doesn't align with those, allow on the tone in this final breath for anything ready to be released to move out of your body, out of your being, and go deep into the earth. Breathe in. Breathe out. And just calling in the light from the upper world as I chant Kanchai one time. Kanchai. And Nike Kawaii, thank you, I love you. Thank you all for hanging out. I will be on at noon on TikTok doing tarot and tones. If you want another dose of Hank, I'll be there. And my website does have all my events on it now, so you can check out if you want to see what's coming up or want to book a session or anything like that. But Nike Kawaii, thank you, I love you. Wilka Nuna Penny Jai Waku Jai Kuna, Sacred Soul Brothers and Sisters. Till next time.